Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Office Bloke Aidan.
Here we are, Office Bloke Daz Sports Edition. Everything sport, so it's all sport, nothing but sport, all day long.
Yeah.
3 videos a day at the moment, so that's decent output. People are liking it. If you do like it, don't forget to subscribe as well, please. It does help us. The entire history of The Process. I don't know what this is.
Neither.
Me neither. But I've seen it come up and I thought, rather than, obviously something to do with NBA, and someone said The Process of how they're developing, I guess, a team for to win the championship.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's the process, but don't know what it means.
No.
So a bit of learning for us here, right?
Yeah, go.
So here we go, the entire history of The Process.
Some NBA teams became so special that they defined an entire era, earning a unique nickname that described their playing style.
The grit and grind Grizzlies.
Showtime Lakers.
Bad boy Detroit Pistons.
The Philadelphia 76ers also have a nickname that defines an era, but they didn't get it because of any particular style of play. The Sixers became famous for the phrase, trust the process, which has become synonymous with deliberate tanking to acquire all-star players. However, it's been 10 years since the process started, and Philly did get their all-stars, but they never got close to winning a championship. So, was the process a failure? We'll discuss all the key decisions the Sixers made during the process, all of their terrible draft mistakes, and the players they could have picked instead. In 2012, the Sixers had a team with multiple talented players, including Andre Iguodala, Drew Holiday, Lou Williams, and Nikola Vucevic. But after they got knocked out in the second round of the playoffs, they decided to make major changes. In the largest trade in NBA history that saw 14 players change teams, the Sixers traded Iguodala and Vucevic in exchange for Andrew Bynum and Jason Richardson. Bynum was the second best center in the NBA at the time, and the Sixers management believed he was going to be the superstar they craved for years. Unfortunately for them, Philly received the shortest end of the stick. Because of multiple knee injuries, Bynum didn't play a single game for the Sixers, and his time in Philadelphia will only be remembered by those horrible haircuts. Without Bynum, the Sixers finished the 2013.
I was going to say, I've
That was
never
a bad
heard of them
bombs.
two.
No.
But I've heard of the other two.
Yeah. Weird, isn't it, how it works like that? Just injuries, just throws it all out.
Yeah.
Season in 9th place, 4 wins away from the final playoff spot. And for an NBA team, being mediocre is the worst possible outcome because you're not good enough to contend for the playoffs and not bad enough to get top picks in the draft. In the 2013 season, the Sixers promoted Sam Hinkie to be their general manager, and Sam wasn't going to be mediocre. Hinkie wanted a major rebuild with the plan of being horrible for a few years in order to get top draft picks and improve in the long run. Rebuilding was nothing revolutionary in American sports leagues driven by
That's something I absolutely hate about basketball.
Oh.
Teams will purposely finish bottom of the league so they get the draft pick next year.
Yeah.
And that annoys me so much. I remember when Golden State won the championship and then finished 15th in their conference the next season.
So they get first
So
draft.
they can get first pick. And they did. They got second pick or so. They got I'm pretty sure they took that James Wiseman or something it was at the time. But that's I hate that so much. That's something that needs to be fixed because teams can't just do that.
Yeah, but did they do it deliberately? Do you
Yeah,
think?
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, Sixers are doing it deliberately for 2 years.
don't know if it's, I'm not sure if it's deliberate or they're just shit.
No, you just said that.
Yeah, okay.
salary cap. But what was both genius and hideous about Hinkie's plan was the time that he was willing to suck and how long he intended for the Sixers to deliberately lose games. Hinkie's mantra, trust the process, soon became synonymous with the 76ers and their tanking strategy, as their GM was trading away all the remaining players who could deter the Sixers from their losing course.
I hope that everybody understands the level of patience that we're all going to have.
Hinkie first traded Drew Holiday for the rights to the 6th pick in the 2013 draft, which he used to select a talented defensive big man, Nerlens Noel. The move was seen as a big surprise because Holiday was the Sixers' best young player, who had just made the All-Star team, and Noel was recovering from an ACL injury. With the 13th overall pick, Hinkie also selected Michael Carter-Williams in front of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Rudy Gobert. Hinkie wasn't done dealing, and out of 15 players who were on the roster in 2013, only 6 remained with the team by the start of the new season. Still, there was hope on the horizon for the new-look Sixers, as Michael Carter-Williams had a great rookie season. MCW finished the 2013-14 season averaging 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, winning the Rookie of the Year award. But more importantly, the Sixers had the second worst record in the NBA, which secured them the 3rd overall pick in the draft. They used the pick to select Joel Embiid, and with the 12th pick, they drafted a Croatian power forward, Dario Saric. However, neither of them were expected to make an immediate impact for the Sixers, as Embiid was recovering from a stress fracture in his foot and
And Embiid just come off being the MVP.
Joel Embiid's a very good player for him.
Yeah, I know. But he's right, this guy didn't want to be mediocre.
Yeah.
Instead, he's been worse.
It's actually better to finish 15th than it is to finish, like, 10th.
Yeah, I know.
I guess 10th gets you playing tournament now, doesn't it, actually?
But how do the fans feel about that? Because if I had a team and they said, you know what, we're going to play shit this year just so we can finish bottom, I'd be like, I ain't coming.
Exactly.
I'm not watching that then. How long are you going to be doing it for?
Yeah, you wouldn't go, would you?
No, you'd be questioning, going, how long are you going to be doing it for? Because I need to know.
If you've got to question the Sixers fans that are still going to the games when they said that we're going to lose.
Philadelphia, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
You've got nothing to look forward to. I'm kidding.
Charge would spend 2 years playing in Turkey. While those absences would deter most franchises from drafting Embiid and Šarić, the Sixers welcomed this scenario as they went according to their tanking plans. But there is tanking, and then there's what the Sixers did with the process. Philly started the 2014-15 season with 17 straight losses, one shy of an NBA record. And while the Sixers were losing, Hinkie had his hands full. He again surprised everyone by trading Michael Carter-Williams for some more draft picks. Trading the reigning Rookie of the Year was unprecedented, and the Sixers fans were getting desperate. But Hinkie pleaded for everyone to trust the process. After finishing the season with 18...
Do you know that reminds me of? Arsenal fans.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. This Hinkie's like, I'd be knocking on his door and going, Hinkie, what's going on here, mate?
Literally.
What's happening?
Wins and the third worst record in the NBA, Philly again struck out in the lottery and failed to win the first overall pick. Still, they had their third selection, which they used on Jahlil Okafor, a dominant low-post center out of Duke. It was unclear why Hinkie decided to draft a center for the third consecutive year, especially because there were some far better options in the draft, namely Kristaps Porzingis and Devin Booker. But it wasn't all negative, and Hinkie did make some good decisions, finding Jeremy Grant and Rashawn Holmes in the second round and signing Robert Covington from the G League. However, as the most prized pick, Joel Embiid suffered another setback. He was ruled out of a second consecutive season, which meant another year of tanking. And this time, the Sixers were worse than ever, breaking the NBA record for consecutive losses with 28 straight L's. After they finished the 2015-2016 season with just 10 wins, the disgruntled fans couldn't take it anymore.
Typical Philly fashion.
They finished with 10 wins.
It's bad, isn't it?
What was that? Like 10 wins, 72 losses?
Is that what he said? I think he did, didn't he? Let's go back to that.
Losses with 28 straight L's. After they finished the 2015-2016 season with just 10 wins, the disgruntled fans couldn't take it anymore.
I've never seen it that low before.
You know,
I'd want my money back.
Yeah.
I'd say you need to. Them tickets should be
If
free.
you bought a season ticket there, like that's
your money
not
back.
fair.
Yeah, especially when you. I know what it was like when I went to the Madison Square Garden, and he was telling me the prices there of what the ticket was I had.
Yeah.
And I was like, my God, if they're paying similar money there.
To just go and imagine they went 28 straight games in a row as well.
At what stage, as a sports fan now, right? We're massive sports fans, right? We go to all the games for Man City. At what stage? I mean, I remember when we only scored. I can't remember how many goals we scored at home with Stuart Pearce.
No, I know, but like it's one of them. You're still trying to win.
But we're still trying to win. But at what point do you stop going? That's a live sport when you say, you know what, I've got to start.
There's no. If City came out and said like if it like works similar, for, like we can sign the best player in the world next season if we lose every game for the rest of the season, I wouldn't go to one of them. But I'm not going again.
Yeah.
And we're going to purposely lose this year so we can get a good signing next year. I wouldn't go.
I mean, there's rebuilding process, and there's certain teams where you're not going to win every game, but you're going to win and you're going to at least try.
Exactly. If you're at least trying to win, then fair enough.
Yeah.
You'd still go to the games because that's the team you love. But if you're purposely losing...
But what I'm saying is, if you're going on a 28-game loss streak, how many games in do you sort of like go, no, that's it? How many games do you give it before you go? You can't go 27 and go, I've had enough now.
No, yeah.
It's got to be like, what would you say,
after
5,
the first
6?
game, after the first game, you know that they're purposely losing.
Yeah, but after how many games would you give it if you... Let's say you don't know the purpose of losing. How many games do you give it where you go, kind of had enough of this now?
If you don't know they're losing, I'd probably go all 28. To be honest, if it looks like they're if you think they're trying to win, well,
if it's one of them, yeah. But I'm saying if
you're
got
not
a process,
you're not a
and
real
he's doing all
sports fan,
this,
if you're only going to go to the team
so
that you love when they win.
I understand that. I understand what you're saying, but they're going through this process, and this Hinkie guy's going.
Yeah.
These are now having enough. That's what I'm saying. They're having enough. But when you've got a 28-run loss, and you're only winning 10 in a season, and you're trusting this process for so many years already building up to it, at what point do you say enough? Let us know in the comments what you do. I'm giving it on that 28 run. I'm thinking losing like 7 or 8 in a row. I'm like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I've had enough. I can't be doing this anymore. We need a bigger explanation. It'll be interesting to see what the take is on it. I'm just going to go back a little bit to see what she says on this.
Wins, the disgruntled fans couldn't take it anymore.
Like typical Philly fashion, you know, we get so close and then we lose.
As Hinkie had turned their beloved franchise into an NBA laughingstock. Finally, after 3 years of the worst tanking in NBA history, the Sixers decided to part ways with Hinkie, who left via a 7,000-word resignation letter.
He stepped down hastily. He should have been fired.
Brian Colangelo was named as the new head of basketball operations, and thanks to Hinkie's losing legacy, he received the perfect present, the so much desired first overall pick. Colangelo used it on Ben Simmons, in front of guys like Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown, Jamal Murray, and Domantas Sabonis.
To be fair, I think, what's his name?
The fans love Ben Simmons, all right.
I think Ben Simmons was, no. I feel
Oh,
like
that was a joke.
I feel like he was good in his first year at Philly, though.
Yeah. Yeah, but after that, the fans turned on him and
Yeah.
everything, and he just had a bad sign, didn't he?
As soon as they realised he can't shoot at all.
The Sixers also drafted Timothy Luwawu and Furkan Korkmaz instead of Pascal Siakam, DeJounte Murray, and Malcolm Brogdon. But at first glance, Simmons seemed like the logical choice and was widely regarded as the top prospect in the draft, an uber-talented 6'10" point guard who could do anything on the court except shooting. But the Sixers believed that he'd learn to shoot as his career progressed. However, on the last day of training camp, Simmons fractured a bone in his foot, and just like his new teammate Joel Embiid,
rookie Ben Simmons has been ruled out for the rest of the season.
it wasn't all that bad, because Embiid finally recovered after 2 missed seasons and showed that he was well worth the wait. Embiid averaged 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks per game.
Wait, so Ben Simmons was injured for his first season at Philly?
He got injured mid-season.
Oh.
Displaying all-around talent that's rarely seen. But after just 31 games, Joel got injured again and would not play for the rest of the year. Philly won 28 games, which was still the 4th worst in the NBA, but at least they finally started to improve. They also got the 3rd pick in the draft, and while most franchises would be happy with the 3rd pick, the Sixers traded their pick and another future lottery pick for the rights to the 1st overall pick, which was owned by the Celtics. With this 1st pick in the 2017 draft, the Sixers selected Markelle Fultz, a super talented combo guard who was supposed to perfectly complement Embiid and Simmons. The Celtics selected Jason Tatum with the 3rd pick, a guy they probably wanted all along, but now they had him and the extra pick. Along with Tatum, other notable names in the draft included future All-Stars De'Aaron Fox, Lauri Markkanen, Donovan Mitchell, and Bam Adebayo, among several other quality players. And as per Sixers tradition, the new season hadn't even started yet, and their lottery pick had already started to show signs of trouble. During training camp, Fultz started tweaking his shot, and when his season started, his otherwise smooth stroke started to look extremely crooked. Fultz was selected 1st overall because he was an unbelievable shooter and a great athlete, but when the season started, his jump shot disappeared like a fart in the wind, and the saga around his shot perplexed the Sixers and the entire NBA.
Did you modify your shot at all?
I mean, I did a whole bunch of things that, that I'm not going to talk about.
It wasn't until the end of his rookie year that the doctors discovered that Markelle had a rare thoracic outlet syndrome, which disabled Fultz from properly extending his arm. But on the flip side, their other lottery picks were finally healthy, and they played well. Simmons averaged 16, 8, and 8 and won Rookie of the Year, while Embiid averaged 23, 11, and 3 and made the All-Star team. The Sixers fans were finally out of their misery, as Philly won 52 games. They convincingly won the first-round series against the Heat, and then just as convincingly lost in the second round to the Celtics, who painfully exposed Simmons' lack of shooting. Despite a winning season, Philly again had a lottery pick in 2018, thanks to Hinkie's inheritance of draft picks.
And pick number 10 will be made by the Philadelphia 76ers.
However, it wouldn't be Brian Colangelo who would make the draft decisions. Due to a scandal where the Sixers GM used burner Twitter accounts to talk badly about the franchise, Sam Hinkie, Joel Embiid, and Jahlil Okafor, Colangelo was fired. Elton Brand was hired as the new GM, and his first decision was selecting Mikal Bridges, 10th overall. But then he immediately traded Bridges away to Phoenix for Zaire Smith, who was the 16th overall pick. Out of all the mistakes they made, this one was one of the worst, as Bridges blossomed into one of the best players in the draft, while Smith played only 13 NBA games and is currently not even on a G League roster. Other notable players who the Sixers could have selected include...
It's mad how much it can change.
How fast that drop is, isn't it?
Yeah, how you could be like #1 pick to being nothing.
You imagine, I mean, we spoke about this before, many times before with different athletes, but can you imagine mentally how that affects them from going like a #1 draft, say, for example, or I know he wasn't #1, but going from a college team, being really good in a college team, going into the draft, getting selected to play in the NBA, being brought into an NBA as one of the top drafts.
Like first round pick type
thing. Your ego's gone right up that. You're really pumped up that. You have a couple of bad games, and all of a sudden, wham! You're right off the level.
You're not even playing basketball anymore.
Mentally, that must be proper challenging.
Yeah, 100%.
For these people.
It's like a lot to get back on your feet and do something else in your life.
Exactly. I mean, what could it be? A window cleaner.
Exactly. Yeah.
For a high rise. Yeah. Now what else you can do when you're that tall?
The only thing they'll probably be thinking about is becoming like a basketball coach.
Because you want to be in the sport. You still want to be a part of the sport. I mean, you can go and do a regular job, an every day-to-day job, but you ain't earning the kind of money you'd earn in the NBA being an accountant.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Mad. But the fall from grace must be huge.
Michael Porter Jr., Jalen Brunson, and Robert Williams. The Sixers also sent their backup center Richaun Holmes to the Suns for cash compensation, which was another bad decision since they had no one to back up Embiid. But with Embiid and Simmons, Philly finally had the building blocks for the championship hunt. They both made the 2019 All-Star team, and Elton Brand didn't want to be patient and develop the team organically. He decided to go all in, trading Robert Covington and Dario Saric for Jimmy Butler, and then also acquiring Tobias Harris for 2 first-round and 2 second-round picks. With those 2 trades, Philly was relieved of all the picks and depth they had from Hinkie's losing years. But now, they were a true contender, and the process was finally over. In the 2019 playoffs, the Sixers beat the Nets in 5 games and faced the Toronto Raptors in the second round. The series went to 7 games, which was decided by Kawhi Leonard's 4-bounce buzzer beater. The Richaun Holmes trade looked even worse then, as Philly got outscored by 109 points in the series over the 99 minutes that Embiid was on the bench. But the Sixers' troubles were still just beginning. That offseason, the 76ers chose not to retain Butler, trading him to the Heat for the much cheaper Josh Richardson and cap space. Butler never believed in the Sixers' project long-term, questioning the winning mentality of their players, namely Ben Simmons. The Sixers didn't want both of their mid-season acquisitions to walk away, so their hand was forced to give Tobias a max contract worth $180 million over 5 years.
Tobias Harris, he is signing for $180 million over 5 years.
It was a massive overpay for a guy that was the 4th option on the team, and it's still unclear whether Harris's contract had anything to do with Butler walking away. Another big move Elton Brand made in the offseason was signing Al.
I think that was one of the best decisions ever for the Heat, though, to take Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
How good he's been for them.
Playing with Adebayo, and Adebayo's
and Tyler Hero as well.
Tyler Hero, yeah.
Horford with the cap space from the Butler trade. Horford signed for 4 years and $109 million, which was another crazy decision, considering that he was essentially a backup center for Embiid, something they could have had in Richaun Holmes for 5 times less. With a retooled roster, the Sixers had an up-and-down 2019-20 season, finishing as the 6th seed, which set them up to play the Celtics in the first round. Without the injured Ben Simmons, the Sixers had no answers for the Celtics, who swept them. To add insult to injury, Tobias Harris and Horford had an extremely poor series, proving Brand's offseason decisions to be terrible. Following the embarrassing loss, both coach Brett Brown and Brand got fired, and the Sixers appointed Doc Rivers as the new head coach and Daryl Morey as the president of basketball operations. The Rivers-Morey era started well, drafting Tyrese Maxey with the 21st pick, which was an undeniable home run. Morey also signed Seth Curry to add much-needed shooting and chose to trade Al Horford for Danny Green and Terrence Ferguson for the same reasons. In the 2020-2021 season, the Sixers finished first in the East, and it finally seemed like the trio of Simmons, Embiid, and Harris had found the right chemistry. But their championship aspirations would crash in the second round once again. Against the Hawks, it was painfully obvious that Simmons not only didn't improve, but he actually regressed. Ben disappeared in the 4th quarter of each game, fearing to take a shot, highlighted by passing up an open dunk because he was afraid to get fouled and shoot free throws. Simmons shot an abysmal 33% from the line, and after the Sixers lost the series, both Embiid and Coach Rivers threw him.
That's proper weird though, because if you're playing basketball every day and you're practicing shooting every day, because I'm sure he is,
Surely
he's
got to
got
improve,
to get better.
You've got to
thought
improve.
you'd improve.
Yeah.
But no. I reckon if I went and shot a basketball for an hour every day for the next month, I'd be a better shooter than him.
Than him,
yeah. Ben Simmons, yeah. I reckon I could shoot better than 33% from the line if I practiced basketball every day
for a month. Yeah, you're probably right. Probably most people would, but sometimes it's up there though, isn't it?
I don't reckon I could on the court, in front of 20,000 people.
Yeah, some people can't take pressure.
Yeah, I can't.
I went to a meeting on something very different from sport, but I went to a meeting one day and I went unprepared. When I say unprepared, I was going for a meeting to have a chat with a guy over a cup of coffee over, in the reception area type thing. Turned up with a colleague, went in, and they took me into this boardroom that was like the UN. It was absolutely huge, and they had like 3 or 4 rows of seats in this all the way around, big auditorium sort of thing, and it got full of all Korean guys. I was in Hyundai for people who don't know brands, and I walked in, I was like, oh my God, and I'm like, is this for me? And they were like, welcome, Darren.
Really?
Sort of thing, and ready for your presentation. I didn't even have my laptop. I had nothing. I had me
ready for your presentation.
So I said to my mate, what's in your bag? And he went, I've got my laptop. I said, what presentation have you got? And the only presentation he had was on our office in Turkmenistan. I didn't even... So I got up, plugged it in, and did a whole presentation on Turkmenistan in front of about 800 people.
What?
Yeah, Hyundai. And that's pressure.
Well, it didn't make sense.
Hey? For me, it did, yeah. Oh. And for that, I didn't know anything about it. I was just winging it off the pictures, off the presentation that he had.
Jesus. Fair enough.
But that's pressure, and that's how you deal with pressure.
Yeah.
You know, is what I'm saying.
Them under the bus in their post-game press conferences. Ben took this personally, and understandably so. But unlike most players who would use this as motivation to get better, Simmons decided to hold out and not play for the Sixers ever again. The Simmons saga lasted for months. It included $20 million in fines and all kinds of made-up shenanigans by Simmons to avoid suiting up. Eventually, Morey was able to trade him and Seth Curry for James Harden. With Simmons gone and the beard on board, Philly hoped they would finally get over the hump. They again made the second round of the 2022 playoffs, this time against Jimmy Butler and his Miami Heat. But once again, their All-Stars failed to deliver. With Harden clearly hobbled from a hamstring injury and Embiid having another poor shooting series in the clutch, the Heat kicked the Sixers out of the playoffs. When he was leaving the arena following the series win, Jimmy shouted, "Defiance hairs over me," painfully reminding the Sixers that they bet on the wrong player. In the offseason, Morey pulled off a series of logical moves to bolster the lineup, and depth additions like DeAnthony Melton, PJ Tucker, and George Niang have mainly been successful. With a healthy Harden, Maxey, Harris, and MVP Joel Embiid, the Sixers looked ready to break the curse and escape the second round. It looked like it would finally happen after they took a 3-2 series lead against Boston, with Game 6 scheduled in Philadelphia. But once again, their superstars dropped the ball. Embiid and Harden played poorly in Game 6 and then also in Game 7, both disappearing when it mattered the most. Harden scored 0 points in the fourth quarter of the final 3 games.
I have never seen him, nor any star, that bad in a Game 7.
And Embiid was equally bad, not being aggressive and playing bad defense. Al Horford, who they traded away, was one of the main catalysts for Boston's defense on Embiid. And once more, it was their former player who put the nail in the Sixers' coffin. It's been 11 years since their 2012 loss in the second round and Philly's decision to tank. 11 seasons and several All-Stars later, they still haven't advanced past the second round. So, was the process a failure? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below.
Of course it was, yeah.
Yeah, obviously, failure. They've not won anything, so it's a failure. Yeah, but it seemed a bit all over the place. I don't know if that's the NBA in itself. I don't really know.
In 10 years, they had 4 different coaches and 4 different directors of basketball.
Yeah, it just seemed that, like I said, I don't know if that's a standard thing in the NBA, because I don't sort of like. I'm only going to get back into it now. You know, sort of thing I got back into it a little bit last season with you, but now this season's going to be a close. I'm going to be watching a hell of a lot.
Yeah, who do you reckon's going to win it this year?
Sixers.
Do you reckon?
I think after watching that, I think you've got to be there or thereabouts, haven't you? Yeah. You've got to be.
I might have a quick look at the favourites to.
I think you're going to have who did Wembanyama go to? Spurs.
They're not going to be.
No, they're going to be there. No, but I don't think you can rely on that one person anyway.
No, you can't.
I think. But you've got a few different rules this year as well, haven't you? With the
I'll tell you
the cup competition that's coming
in order of most likely to least likely.
I'm going to go most likely. I'm going to go with it's got to be the team that won it last year. It's got to be one of the most likely if they're still all together. So the Oklahoma. No, who was it? Jokic's team.
Forgot the name.
It's not Dallas. It's go on. Who is it?
Denver Nuggets.
Denver. Yeah.
And then you've got Boston.
Yeah, well,
it was actually the same odds as Denver.
Well, I think Boston last year when they went out, did they go out to Denver last year? Boston.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
In the playoffs, so was it the Miami? Miami beat them, didn't they? Yeah. And I think Boston probably should have won that series. But when because I watched that, but then again, like I say, when you're watching the Heat, you've got some proper big time players with Butler and Adebayo and people like that, who can step up, and that's what you want. You want players to step up. I just knew when they went through, but they weren't good enough to beat Denver. But I think, where are the Brooklyn Nets?
Nowhere near.
Nowhere near.
It's 80-1 down near the bottom.
Dallas?
No. Dallas, what? They're 13-1. I'll just give you them order. So next up, third likely
Bucks.
is Milwaukee Bucks. Then you've got the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat, the Warriors, the Lakers, then the 76ers.
Warriors down the line. 76ers are not far off then.
11-1.
11-1 not bad.
They've got decent players.
They have. They've got to stay fit though, haven't they? Sounds like that. Embiid, he's
injury prone.
Yeah, made out of Weetabix, something. Crackers, graham crackers. Yeah. Anyway, enjoyed that. It gives me a bit of education now because
I didn't know that, to be honest, at all about the 76ers.
Just seemed very messy, very sloppy, and very all over the place to me. But like I say, I don't know if that's the NBA in itself in a nutshell. If there's that many trades and people in and outs and all over the place.
That one trade that consisted of 14 players. I know. That's crazy.
I know. But even the lost streaks and all that for the 76ers.
Mad. NBA record.
Bring back Allen Iverson is what I say.
Yeah.
He'd sort it out.
Or just trust the process.
Trust the process. Well, they have to send it on someone on the restaurant side as well, didn't it?
Trust the process.
Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.